We're going to have a look at a very simple patch pocket today. So this is just the side of a bag, a lining. And so what I've done is that we have our lining and I've cut a patch pocket, just a simple pocket, just a simple slip-in pocket. I've just used our template, our 6x10, our 6x10 template, which gives me a finished pocket of, I think it's 8 by 12. But once the seams have come off it, it'll be slightly smaller, and it's just going to be stitched onto the front of this. Now, when we do a lining, we've generally put a strip of interfacing at the top of the line, just to give it some reinforcement at the top of the bag. But when you put a pocket on, you probably need some reinforcement in this area as well, because you don't want the pocket to pull out of the fabric should you get it caught or should you be rough with it. So having some interfacing on the back means that it's got a little bit of reinforcement. So I've got 2 squares of interfacing here. We generally want the pocket to start sort of 3.5, 4 inches down from the top of the piece of lining. So I'm just going to make a little mark just to make sure that I'm actually inside my stabilizer, because there's no sense in putting that on there and missing it completely. So that's what we're going to do there. And so we're on our interfacing, and then I'm going to turn this over, and I'm again going to just mark. I'm using a washout pen. That's going to be my indication of where that is going to fit to there. So we have our piece, our pocket piece. We want to actually just fold it in half, right sides together, and need to make a little mark. I'm going to leave a 2-inch opening, 5 centimeters, 2 inches opening at the bottom for me to pull the pocket through. So there's my little opening here. So I'm going to go stitch, 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 stitch round the corner, finish there, start there, stitch, stitch, stitch round the corner, finish up here. So let me just pop some pins in there. So it's just this opening here. We're going to be starting and stopping and starting and stopping. Right, let's go to the machine. Right, we're going to sew around the edge of our pocket. So that's a fold, and that's our opening. So just with a 5/8 seam, starting at my fold, just going to come down to my corner, pivot, and just stop at my mark. Okay, then I'm going to start at my next mark. There we go. There. So there's our little piece here where we're going to turn through. Before we need to do that, we need to just trim off our corners. Just these 2 bottom ones. And then we're going to turn this inside out. Pinch the corner, turn it through, pinch that top corner there again, turn it through, there we have it. Let's go over to the ironing board. So we're at the iron. Before we just put any heat on there, let's just push those corners out. I'm using the pointy end of the pink fang. Here makes it nice and square. Nice and square. There's our opening, which we're not going to do anything with. We're just going to stitch that together when we actually stitch around the edge of our pocket, the opening. So it needs to be, they need to be sitting on top of each other. If they're not, just wind it back a little bit so as it is. Give that a bit of a firm press. And back to our board. Here we go. So we've got our piece of lining with our interfacing on the back. And here is our pocket. So the folded edge is up here and our open edge is at the bottom. And that is going to be sitting onto our lines, which we've marked 4 inches down. And we just want to make sure that we're in from the edge the same amount. There we go. Let's just pin our corners. And let's go to the machine. Okay, so we are going to take that pin out, and we're just going to be edge stitching around the edge of that, and this is where the hole is, and so we're stitching through that, so that will be quite secure. So what I do is I generally stitch a couple of stitches on the edge, 2, 3, say 4. Then I'll go back and I come out and make a little triangle. And then we stitch over where we already stitched from. And that just reinforces the top edge of our patch pocket and just ensures that it actually has got a bit of firmness, because they get quite a rough life inside a bag. Gets caught up on things, especially if a phone's going in and out of the pocket. So I'm stitching through those 2 seams that we pulled the pocket through. So they're nice and secure now. Totally square, but that's fine. Come up to the end again, couple of stitches across, down on an angle, and then just turn one more time, do a couple of stitches on top of the stitches that we already did. There we have it. Patch pocket. And put our scissors in. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe.